Hello friends, welcome to today's video. I will be honest, this is my third take of this video. I really wanted to be outside and I love filming outside. The lighting is just better, but the wind was nonstop. And so you could barely hear anything and I was like, this is not wind ASMR. So I don't know what, I was like, this is not helpful. You can't hear anything I'm saying. So we are inside. In today's video, I just wanted to talk about, I don't think I've done a video like this, but I wanted to talk about books that I downloaded onto my Kindle, particularly ebooks. I just think a lot of times, I talk about book hauls and physical books that I purchased, but I only really mention ebooks if I'm doing a wrap up. So I thought it'd be nice to kind of, one, let you know maybe what's out there if you are not aware of what's out on Kindle Unlimited, or just, I don't know, just fun to know. And two, just to maybe keep myself a little bit accountable, that kind of like a TBR. Just FYI, I'm a mood reader, so am I going to read all these books as maybe my mind plans? No, because it just depends on my mood and if I feel like it. But I think it's kind of nice. I like to usually have about 10 or 11 or so in my Kindle library just to kind of see what I'm in the mood for and what I feel like reading. So if you're curious to see, let's get into this video and hopefully get some good KU recommendations. Also say that I just realized I was kind of looking at my list that a lot of my books this month that I downloaded are part of a series or duology or a series of some kind, either usually the continuations of ones, because I realized I've started a lot of series, oh my gosh, I can't use my words, that I've started a lot of different series, but I have not finished them. And so I decided to maybe try, again, who knows if it will happen, but we're trying. So the first book that I downloaded was Heat of the Everflame. This is a fantasy series, romantasy maybe even I would say, but it is the third book in the Everflame, what is it, that Kindred, oh, is that what it's called? The Kindred Curse Saga? Is that the name of the series? I didn't even realize. I thought it was like the Everflame series. You learned something new. But it is the third book in this series. I really enjoyed the first two. They do get also kind of like heftier, which I know in a Kindle, but I just realized like this third book I think is like 1,000 pages. I was like, what? I didn't even realize it was that big. But I really enjoyed the other two. I feel like it's fast paced. You really get into the story. I also think it's a good balance between like the romance and the fantasy elements, the world building, just all the things. And I'm really liking this series. It is a pleasant surprise and it's just really fun. So I really want to try to read the third book. I think there's 4 or 5 books in the series. I'm not completely sure. As always, as I'm talking about any of these books, please let me know down below. Have you read any of these? Are these also on your TBR? I love to hear your thoughts. Then the next book is actually a memoir, and it is Everything I Know About Love. And it's by Dolly Alderton, and to be honest, I don't even know who that is. But I don't know, I find that sometimes picking up a memoir by someone I don't know much about is kind of interesting, because I feel like it's just, I don't know, it's just more fun to kind of learn about them and just to find out. And I've been trying to get more into nonfiction, including memoirs, and I just find them interesting. I think like learning about people's lives, because I think everybody's life is just so interesting and different in its own way, and just memoirs are a really great way to get that. And I don't know, I'm curious to try it out, and I've seen this book around like on BookTube and different things, and so I want to try, give it a try. Then this next book is also part of a series, and it is The Housemaid is Watching. It is the third installment in the Housemaid series, I believe is what it's called. But as the name implies, it follows the stories of a housemaid, which I don't want to give too many details away because again, this is the third book in the series. But essentially this housemaid, she ends up working for usually a lot of these wealthy people, and their lives are not, things are not always as they seem when she's inside these homes, and they tend to become kind of crazy psychological thrillers for some of them. And so I'm curious to see if the third one is again a similar concept. It seems like it. Frida McFadden, a lot of her books are in KU. I've tried some that I really didn't like. I have read this series. I do have to say the first 2 books were a little bit darker than I anticipated them to be, but they were still really engaging. It was fast paced. It really kind of sucked me in. So I am curious to see how this third book will be, if it will still be a similar story, like maybe she's in another family and it follows that same concept. So I'm curious to try it out and see, and hopefully it won't be too scary, because I am a baby when it comes to scary things. I cannot do super scary things, but I want to try it out. This next book is The Lost Bookshop. Again, I don't know much about it, but I feel like I've seen it a couple times mentioned, not like a lot, but the cover seemed really cute and the description said that it's a charming and uplifting novel, and I was like, that sounds adorable. I want to read that. I feel like it would make me happy. The cover seems really cute. I don't know if there's any sort of like little maybe magical elements. I'm not sure, but it just seems really cute and adorable, and I wanted to give it a try. And I feel like anything about a book or a bookshop, I want to read that. Then this next book, this is one that I've seen a lot and I feel like it really exploded, and I know a lot of people who have read this and have rated this 5 stars. They love this, and it is One Dark Window. This is part of a duology, and I have started this. I'm a few chapters in. I would say that this is also like a gothic. I think it's described as a romantasy, or fantasy for sure, but I would say it's almost like a gothic read as well. I believe it's about this woman who has kind of like a darkness, from what I understand, or people have like these powers or like things inside of them. So I think she has like a darkness inside of her, is what I'm kind of understanding it as. I'm not completely sure, but I'm curious to try it out. I'm not normally a super big gothic fan, I will be honest, because I don't always like the creepy vibes. It's not, I don't know, that's not my kind of thing, but it does seem interesting so far. It seems like something different that I have not read before, and I definitely want to give it a chance, because like I said, a lot of people have loved this series, and the second book is also on KU, so if it's really good, I'm glad that the second one is on there. It's a duology, and I feel like it's not as scary of a commitment to have a duology over like a large series. Then this next book is called Memory Lane, and it is by the author Becky Wade, and I'm reading reading a book of hers with my sister, and so I think that's maybe why it came up as recommendations. But I believe she is a romance author that does like no spice in her books, which I want to try more of out, and so she also has a lot of books on KU, so I'm curious to try it out, because if this is a great book and I'm liking her other books so far, I think it'll be nice to have a lot more options on KU. I believe that this one is part of a duology, if I'm not mistaken, and I think it's like small town romances, and I am a sucker for small town romances. I myself live in the middle of nowhere now in a small town, so I don't know, I love the whole feeling of a small town, and I love that in books as well. So I definitely want to try this one out as well, and like I said, I think it's part of a duology, so I think there's a second book, so I'm just curious. And if you've read anything else by this author, please let me know your thoughts. And the next book that I wanted to read is actually the third book in a series as well, and I'm so excited because if I finish this book, I have actually finished the series, and it is it's the book Life's Too Short by Abby Jimenez, and it's the third book in the Friend Zone series. I didn't even realize there was a third book, so I'm curious to see if it's following the same characters as the other two. If you saw my reading wrap up for last month, I read the other 2 books. I especially loved the second one, not so much the first one, but it's still a fun world. I love Abby Jimenez's writing in those books, and so I'm curious to see how the third book will be, and if it follows, I'm kind of curious about who the characters will be, and just I hope it's like a cute rom-com-y, writing, so I'm excited for that and I want to check it out. And the next book that I downloaded, I saw this a lot, I think it came out a few months ago, I want to say, if I'm not mistaken, but I have never read anything by this author, and it is the book A Tempest of Tea, and it's by Hafsa Faisal. I believe she has another series as well. I know I've seen a lot of books by her, but I have not had a chance to read anything by hers yet. And so I'm curious to check this one out. I just love the cover of it as well. It just looked really cool. It kind of gave me like 20s, like Prohibition era, and it's really cool, a cup of tea. And I believe it's actually a fantasy though. I think elements of romance, if I'm not mistaken, but I think there's like vampires and things. And so again, I'm going into it kind of blind. I don't know much about it, and I just want to give it a try and see if this is an author. Maybe it'll be a new discovery for me and I'll really like her books. And this one is also similar vein, like a fantasy. I believe it's a romantasy I've been seeing a lot more about, is When the Moon Hatched, and I was excited to see this on Kindle Unlimited because, like I said, I've been hearing a lot about it. I believe it's like a fast-paced romantasy. I think there's also dragons or things as well, which I love anything with dragons, and so it just seems really cool. And again, I haven't been buying too many books. I've been using the library, but I thought I will check it out since it's on KU and see how I feel about it, and hopefully it'll be an awesome new fantasy book. I think it's part of a series because it says book 1, so I'm not sure if it's going to be how long of a series it is, or even if there's any books out. I don't think there's any more out, right, if I'm not mistaken. But so I'm excited to try it out and see. Then maybe I'll have another series that I will have to continue reading, so who knows, right? This next one is also part of a series, and it is the second part of a duology. So again, if I finish this, and it is the book The Ashes and the Star-Cursed King, and it is the Crowns of Nyaxia series, and by Carissa, is it Broadbent? Yeah. And I read another book by her other series, and I love her books. I feel like to me, how she writes fantasy and like romantasy is what I want to see. It is a perfect balance of the romance, fantasy, a unique world. How she writes it is just done really well. It meshes. There's not like the balance of the romance and the fantasy and all the other things. It's just done so well. I really, really love the first book, which is kind of like Hunger Games Trials, but it also has vampires, and it was done so well. I really loved it, and it ended on a crazy like cliffhanger. So I'm really excited to get into the second book. I actually have also pre-ordered this series as a special edition from Fairy Loot, so I'm waiting for it to come because I really loved this series. I really love this author. Like I said, I liked her other series, which I still have to finish that one, but the few books that I've read by her, I just really liked, and they were done so well. Like, to me, I feel like she's a very exceptional fantasy writer, at least from the books that I've read so far, especially in the romantasy world. If you are into romantasy, I think she does it so well. And the last two books I want to talk about, but one more on KU, is The Dead Guy Next Door. This is from what I understand, kind of like a mystery rom-com, I believe. It's by Lucy Score, and this was a recommendation from my book bestie and bestie in life, Laura. So I am excited to see. She kind of told me it's kind of like the Stephanie Plum, the books by Janet Ivanovich, if you ever read those, like One for the Money, you know, like that whole series. It's kind of like that, but a little bit more rom-com-y, more of that romance element that Lucy Score tends to have in her books, since she's more of a romance writer. So I'm excited to try it out because I have been trying to read through Lucy Score's books, and it just seemed fun. I've really been getting more into mystery, so trying to see like a mystery and a romance just seems so fun, and I hope it's good because I believe it's part of a series as well, because it says it's a Riley Thorne novel. So I think I saw that there's at least like 1 or 2 more books in the series, so I'm hoping it's a good series and it'll be a fun read. And then the last book that I have downloaded and have actually been reading and really enjoying and wanted to share with you and include in this video, it's not on Kindle Unlimited. I am reading it through Hoopla. If you have that app, or I'm sure you can get it on Libby as well, but it is the dramatized audiobook of Red Rising. Key point here, dramatized, is it's a sci-fi book, and I've been hearing a lot about it, especially last year and the beginning of this year, but I really wanted to give it a go. I have the first book on my physical TBR, but I wanted to try the dramatized. There's a regular audiobook I saw, but then there's a dramatized, and it is so cool. I am really loving it. I'm really loving the story, and I think having it be a dramatized book as well is just so cool. It's even like the next level from an audiobook, because there's actually a whole cast of the different characters, different voices. There's like background noise and just so much more than just an audiobook. And I really love the narrator, love his narration of the book. It's wonderful, and it's just so good. And I think I'm not normally a sci-fi reader, and I think it's just really helping in like engulf me in the world of the book. It's so good. So if you have been wanting to read that book, definitely, please, if you can, check out the dramatized version of the book. And I believe it's actually split into like 2 separate, at least on Hoopla, they have like dramatized book 1 and then dramatized book 2, like the continuation, but it's so good. So try it out, and I'm hoping to finish the book and see how it ends. I know there's more books in the series, but I am really loving it. So anyway, just a recommendation. Please read it. It's so good. Or listen to it. It's like a movie in your ears. It's wonderful. So there you have it. Those are my monthly downloads. Again, I don't think I'll read all these books this month, but I just want to share with you, and hopefully you'll see some of these in my wrap up, or at least some of them hopefully, in my wrap up for August. Thank you guys so much for watching, and I will see you in the next video. Bye.